Do you recognize what you see here?
Yes, that's a side table adjacent to the bed.
Okay. There's an item with a red rectangle around it, just above that side table. Can you make out that item?
Yes.
What is that?
It's a handgun.
And would that be the handgun that you were describing earlier?
Yeah, I described it as kind of a large caliber handgun.
All right. Before we move on, there's another set of boxes or items at the lower left-hand corner with another red rectangle around them. What's that?
Correct. I believe that was the case where the rifle and shotgun were contained.
Okay.
Carrying case.
And let's start with the handgun. That item, would you agree, was directly behind, essentially like the headboard of the bed?
Yes, kind of behind the bed.
All right. I'll show you 39C. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
What is that?
That's the handgun. Again, I've described it as a large caliber handgun.
Just a close-up of the same gun we just pointed out.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know what caliber handgun that was?
I believe it's a 44 caliber handgun.
Are you positive that it was not a 9mm handgun?
Yes.
Did you inspect the gun?
I saw it where it was, and as the detectives that found it located it came to me. I don't recall picking it up and handling it myself.
Did you inspect it enough to determine whether or not it was a real gun?
Yes.
Was it a real gun?
Yes.
Do you know whether or not it was loaded?
I do not know.
Is that a revolver or a semi-automatic?
That's a semi-automatic.
And is there a magazine for that handgun?
Yes.
Is it loaded? Is it shoved up inside of the grip?
From this angle, it looks like there is a magazine seated in the weapon.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move back over to People's 39B and focus on the items at the bottom left-hand corner. And for that, I'm going to display People's 39B. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
Just a better angle of the same outside boxes, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Go to 39B. What do you see there?
Yes, that's where you see the one case that's been opened. You can see inside, I believe that is the rifle.
And when you say that item, it's closer to the bottom of the page, because there's two boxes here, correct?
Correct, two boxes. So I'm looking at the lower box here, specifically, it's kind of cracked open and you can see the inside. I can see the bottom end of what I believe is the rifle.
And did you inspect that gun close enough to know if it was a real gun or a fake gun?
Correct, yes.
And what was it?
It's a real gun.
And does that gun fire 9mm ammunition?
It does.
Okay. And then lastly, 39F. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes, here on the right. So both cases are now open. The case on the right specifically, I can see the outline of the shotgun, also in addition to the shotgun shells in the carrier of the stock.
Let's see if I can get the glare off there. It's kind of hard to see. That was getting better. The shotgun you described as being on the right-hand side, correct?
Correct. Shotguns here on the right, the rifles on the left, and that's two separate cases.
Got it. Okay. And with the shotgun specifically, did you inspect it close enough to tell if it was a real gun or a fake gun?
Yes.
And what was it?
It's a real gun.
Okay. Will that gun shoot 9mm ammunition, the shotgun?
No.
Did you collect any of those guns?
No.
Why not?
They weren't part of what we were looking for pursuant to the search warrant.
And was that specifically 9mm caliber handgun?
9mm caliber weapons or the evidence of possession, purchase, anything related to a 9mm, specifically 9mm handgun.
Okay. Those three guns in that location, would that be where they were when you first observed them?
Yes.
in close proximity to the bed in the master bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. In addition to the 3 guns that we just talked about, was there any other firearm-related evidence that you were alerted to in his home?
Yes.
What was that?
A magazine, a 9mm magazine for a Glock 23, collected from a box in the master bedroom closet.
Now, I'm gonna mark 2 more photos. Do 40 A and B. Alright, I'm going to show you, start with people's 40A. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And just to orient the jurors, this white object on the left lower right corner, would that be the bed?
Yes, this is from the headboard view, the headboard looking towards the foot of the bed. On the right is the kind of walk-in closet. On the left is the kind of walk-in master suite bathroom. And then there's a sliding glass door here on the far left leading out to kind of a balcony.
Okay. Lastly, I'll go to part B. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's a box containing ammunition, magazines for a rifle, and specifically
Magazines for,
a rifle.
thank you.
Sorry. And in the center here, there's the magazine that was recovered containing live ammunition, specifically 9mm ammunition.
In that photograph, underneath the magazines, it looks like there are a number of boxes. What are those boxes?
The boxes underneath are ammunition, I believe, that was consistent with the rifle that was in one of the cases.
Were any of those boxes consistent with 9mm ammunition?
No.
You said that magazine was for a 9mm handgun, correct?
Correct.
Smaller one?
Yes, I believe it's a Glock 43.
Okay. And was that 9mm magazine collected along with the ammunition that was loaded inside?
Yes, it was.
I have 2 envelopes here, Your Honor. In agreement with the defense, they are inner envelopes that were taken out of a larger outer envelope. Another item that was in the outer envelope is not being used, so the returns is detected. We're just using the inner envelopes.
So that's part of 32? Or do you want to mark it separate?
I think I want to mark it separately, Your Honor, and I'll mark each of the envelopes separately just so we don't get them confused.
This one's going to be 41.
I'll mark the magazines 41. And I'll mark the ammunition as 42. These envelopes were open as the jurors will walk through, Your Honor, so they are previously open. Detective, I'll approach first with, let me write it on the envelope so I don't forget the numbers. 41. 41, do you recognize that object?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's the magazine that was recovered and shown in that photograph on the screen.
In the master bedroom closet?
Correct.
Okay. Can you describe what that object is, or tell us the features of it? What's the brand of that object?
It's a Glock brand magazine, which has a capacity of 6 rounds that can be loaded. And a semi-automatic firearm, the rounds are loaded into the magazine. As you press them down, they're loaded to capacity. And then once the magazine is filled to whatever ammunition is available or to capacity, it's then seated inside of the weapon. The weapon is then charged to chamber a round into the chamber, which makes the gun ready at that point.
Okay. And you specifically said this was for a Glock, correct?
Glock 43,
Okay. 9mm.
9mm.
And then People's 42 has, you want to count how many there are there?
There's 6 live rounds of ammunition for all 9mm.
Are they all the same make and model? Yeah.
Yes.
And what caliber are they?
9mm.
And what's the brand?
Same Luger.
SIG, S-I-G, Luger, L-U-G-E-R. Okay. I'll put one of these on the screen. First I'm going to put up People's 41, that's the magazine, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then next to it I'll put one of the items from People's 42, that's the unfired bullet, correct?
Correct, that's a live round of 9mm.
Okay. And then on the bottom is where it says SIG 9mm Luger, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to put that back in envelope number 42, and I'll put the magazine back in envelope 41. Did you observe any guns in the defendant's home which would accept or utilize the magazine with the Marcus People's 41?
No. None that I found, none that were pointed out to me or identified by anybody else in the search.
In your experience owning firearms, specifically with semi-automatic firearms, is it common that if you own a gun, you may possess multiple magazines for that firearm?
Yes. My experience, anytime I purchased a gun, semi-automatic specifically, it's come with more than just one magazine.
Based on your experience in law enforcement and with gun ownership specifically, are you aware of any purpose why someone would possess a single handgun magazine without also possessing a gun capable of accepting
Objection or close speculation. Sustained.
During the entirety of the search at the defendant's home, did you personally observe any fake guns, prop guns, or starter guns?
I did not, and nothing to that description was pointed out to me or identified during the search.
During the search, did you observe any ammunition or prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter gun?
No, I did not, and along the same lines, nothing was identified to me by any other member of the search team.
When it related to this case, were you first made aware that there was an allegation that the gun used at the scene was a prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter pistol?
Objection.
Hold on.
He was made aware.
You are those.
Overrule.
You can answer, Detective. So when related to this investigation was the first time that you were made aware the allegation that the gun used at the scene was a prop gun, a fake gun, or a starter pistol?
I believe it was last Monday, which was the 20, I'd have to look at my calendar. But it was Monday when you called to let me know, and I was made aware that that was what was.
Okay, when you say the Monday, would it have been around when jury selection started in this case, or was there already evidence being presented?
That was when, right during jury selection.
Okay, around the 20th, would that sound about right to you?
Yes,
Of January?
right,
And we're talking about 2025.
2025.
I don't have anything else on here.
This would probably be a good time to take a break. All right, folks, the clock has been adjusted, so the clock is now accurate. So let's break until 5 minutes to 3, at which time we will resume. Please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. If you give them the ladder, and replace the battery. Battery.
okay with that?
No, not like that. But thank you. Maybe see it back.
All right, before we go on the record, someone involved. George is on the stand, and I believe you wanted to read one more stipulation.
Yes, just like the stipulation. Stipulation number 3, regarding surveillance video from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard business. The stipulation is that LAPD Detective Frank Flores, Carlos Camacho, and Luis Maria, along with LAPD Technical Investigation Division Technician Harry Wooten, downloaded surveillance video from the security office at the property management company for the business located at 6200 Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood. The security office maintains security cameras on Argyle Avenue and on El Centro Avenue. The video was originally recorded between 10 p.m. on November 6, 2021 and 1 a.m. on November 7, 2021. The surveillance video contained in People's Exhibit 15 is a true and correct copy of that video. The system, video, date, and timestamp are approximately 2 to 3 minutes faster than actual time. You can stipulate.
So stipulated by the press?
Yes. Yeah, I just I've spoken before.
Yes,
Had it,
we have.
you know, the witness stand that preliminary hearing in November of 2023, right?
Correct.
By the way, let's just start out where you finished off. You had some questions about when you personally were made aware of one of the issues raised by the defense of Mr. Mayers being in possession of a prop weapon. And you said it was fairly recently before the trial started, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Obviously, you never spoke to Mr. Mayers from the day of the incident until today.
Correct.
All right. You never spoke to 12E from the day of the incident until today.
Correct.
All right. You never spoke to Blue 11 from the day of the incident, correct?
Correct.
All right. You certainly don't know what Mr. Mayor, but Rocky has told his attorneys several years ago.
I'm not aware.
And of course, you know, there's no depositions in criminal cases, correct?
Correct.
So basically what you're being asked are questions related to discovery and disclosure in a criminal case, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. One second. All right, sir. So you were assigned to investigate this case, I think it was November 9th
November 9th.
of 2021, along with detectives Michael and Matthew, correct?
Correct.
And you've been sitting here in court every day of the trial watching everybody else?
For the most part, yes.
For the most part, yeah. And as the detective assigned to this case, you're familiar with all the police reports generated in connection with this case?
Yes.
And because police reports are relied on at hearings and trials like this one, as a case detective, you want to ensure that those reports are as complete and accurate as possible, right?
Yes, I mean, they are a summary of the information gathered, but there are other parts of the information that's gathered to go along with that, recordings, interviews, stuff like that, but it's a summary.
Sure. But you want that summary to be as accurate as possible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And as the case detective, you spoke with other officers with knowledge about this case as part of your investigation.
Yes, we did.
And obviously, as a for example, you reviewed and retrieved the video recordings pertaining to this incident.
Correct. We
Some of
did.
which we talked about just saying, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. 1616 East Belmar is one, right?
Yes.
6200 Hollywood is Hollywood Boulevard.
Yes.
Hollywood Boulevard is another. Yes, yes, sir.
Correct.
All right. And you retrieved the East Belmar video on November 9th, 2021.
That's correct.
Okay. And the Hollywood Boulevard video, I think it was a few weeks later, November 18th.
I believe that is correct.
Now, on November 8th, 2021, law enforcement received 2 9mm Luger shell casings from Mr. Ephron.
Correct. Per the initial crime report, yes.
Yes. And those shell casings were submitted to the fingerprint analysis lab about 2 weeks later on November 21st, 2020.
I believe that's when they were tested, yes.
You're familiar that the fingerprints can typically be left behind on bullets when they're touched and loaded in a firearm, right?
There is always a possibility anything that's touched can leave a fingerprint trace behind.
So the answer is yes, they can, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the latent print lab, the LAPD latent print lab unit completed its fingerprint analysis of those 2 shell casings on November 23rd, 2020.
That sounds correct.
And after examining the casings provided by Mr. Ephron, law enforcement lifted exactly 0 fingerprints off them, correct?
That's right. 0 prints for the.
So there were no fingerprints of anyone on those shell casings.
That's correct.
On April 20th of 2022, so we're fast forwarding a little bit, you secured a search warrant to obtain DNA swabs from Mr. Mayers.
Correct. That was included in the search warrant for that date that it was executed.
Right. And in order to obtain that search warrant, you swore to a judge that DNA from Mr. Mayers was clearly necessary for analysis for probable cause purposes as well as evidential purposes.
Yes, to include potential evidence that could be in custody or that could be collected at some point during the investigation. A comparison can be made. If any evidence that we have or collect along the way can be compared to.
Correct. And after getting the search warrant for Mr. Mayers' DNA, he took samples of his saliva on April 20th, 2022.
Yes, as part of that arrest, there were samples taken.
And although you affirmed that DNA was clearly necessary as part of the case, law enforcement never submitted anything for DNA analysis in this case.
Correct. We didn't collect or have anything further to compare it to. At least it was correct.
The alleged altercation between Mr. Ephron and Mr. Mayers took place on November 6, 2021, around 10:17 p.m. This little altercation lasted about 25 seconds, that whole thing.
Roughly.
All right, just to give y'all a heads up, that ain't us. That's them niggas. They ain't got their shit right. Not us.
Videos in this case. After leaving the scene of the altercation at around 10:17, Mr. Ephron initially claimed he returned to the scene at around 11:09 p.m.
Could object as to, vague as to what he's talking about when Mr. Ephron was.
Then on accuracy, 11:09, give a minute.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure about the exact time, but I think he roughly said within an hour of the incident.
Would you agree it's somewhere around, the events of that time, 11 on 9?
Vegas to Windsor.
Okay, go to the preliminary hearing on just read the question answer.
I'm gonna project your proper impeachment.
I'm trying not to be.
I don't see it as being impeached. Why don't you tell him, just clarify what it was that,
Mr. Ephron told you 52 minutes more later, he came back to the scene, correct?
I don't recall him saying the exact time, but I do recall him saying roughly within an hour after the initial incident.
And you got that from watching the videos, correct?
On first review, yes, that's what I believe. So it's consistent.
And I understand your testimony is now changed to say you don't think it's in, but initially, you certainly thought that person you saw was in
Yes,
at 11:09, right?
yes, that was my belief.
Okay. And to you, at least, that was Mr. Ephron in the videos,
That was my belief because it was consistent with the time frame that he provided.
right? It was consistent with what Mr. Ephron told law enforcement.
Correct, within the hour estimate.
Okay. And that person, whoever that person was, Mr. Ephron initially said it was him, you believe it was him initially, leaves the scene at 11:11 p.m., 2 minutes later.
Roughly,
Project, the first part of this question is super facts, not evidence.
No, it's not connected.
sorry, stop, read the question back.
And that person, whoever that person was, Mr. Ephron initially said it was him. Let me read it again.
I can approach her and try not to speak in objection. I frankly don't remember what you said.
You aren't so comfortable, I'm not really down, I'm not trying to mislead, but I'm just saying initially he said it was him, that's what my question was, I know now it's changed, what Mr. Ephron said. But initially, he said it was him, so whoever that person was, I started my question out with, who Mr. Ephron initially said was him, he left the scene 2 minutes later.
I don't know if it's evidence or not. I can't remember every single.
You just said it.
I would change the objection to being argumentative. If he wants to ask, did that person leave within 2 minutes, I have no problem with that. But we don't need the argumentative part getting to that question.
You're on, I'm not, yeah, hold on, I can do this easy. Did Mr. Ephron initially say that that was him?
I don't recall if he used those words exactly. I believe he made a comment that may have indicated that, but
Well, for instance, did you were here when he testified at this trial?
correct.
Do you remember when he said at this trial from the jury that he was sure that that was him?
Yes,
Okay. So, just a week ago, or a few days ago, Mr. Ephron said that was him, correct?
correct.
So whoever that person was, that person that Mr. Ephron swore it was him to this jury initially, left 2 minutes later.
Roughly within 2 minutes, that person left.
Objection to the front, as phrased.
Yes.
And to be clear, you observed all the video footage that was recovered in this case.
Yes,
So if that is not, the new position is not Mr. Ephron, at least you don't think it's Mr. Ephron. Based on your testimony today, you have absolutely no video showing Mr. Ephron ever returning to the scene, correct?
correct.
Now, amongst the video you reviewed in this case was a body cam footage, one by officers at the scene who responded to that, correct?
Correct.
You watched that? Yes, sir?
Yes,
And you are aware, before Mr. Ephron or whoever that person was returned to the scene 52 minutes later, law enforcement had arrived.
yes,
And certainly before, if Mr. Ephron returned to the scene, Shortly before Mr. Ephron returned to the scene, law enforcement had arrived.
Correct.
And the police arrived at the scene about 18 minutes after the incident.
Yes, roughly.
And there were at least 7 officers there.
Yes.
And while they were at the scene of the incident, 18 minutes after it ended, these 7 officers were canvassing the area.
Yes. They are walking in and about the area of Selma and Vista.
And you saw them on the video searching the area of the location.
Yes. Adjacent parking lot. Yes.
Using the flashlights,
Correct.
looking on the ground. You saw them.
Yes.
I know you know this answer, but ask it that way. You know law enforcement did not cover any casings in this case, correct?
Correct. The officer responded did not find or recover any cases.
No officers ever covered any shell casings.
No.
Right?
No. You're asking from the radio call, the officer that responded initially? No.
Yes. Or any other police officers cover any cases from the scene?
Only the officer at the front desk that who took the casings.
Yeah, no, my question was from the scene.
Okay. No, not from the scene.
In fact, they didn't locate any sign of shooting, correct?
Correct. Other than the radio call.
Right. But that's a call. And you heard Officer Zizzo testify, I think it's Sergeant Zizzo now, you heard him testify. A lot of people make calls or they can misinterpret things, correct? You heard that.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of reasons. Sometimes people are just don't stick around after.
But in any event, you do agree that the officers who arrived 18 minutes later didn't locate any sign of shooting.
That's correct.
And despite that, as shown on the video, after the police left and Mr. Ephron returned to the scene, he supposedly located the shell casings by himself without a flashlight within minutes.
I believe he said he used the light on his phone and he located.
Within minutes.
Yes.
You were in this courtroom when Mr. Ephron testified that this individual named 12E had a knife during this incident, right?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the summary investigative report related to this case dated August 5th, 2022, sir, yes?
Yes, I am.
And that's a collective sort of prior statements and a summary of the investigation overall.
That is specifically that was the filing summary.
And that's what you used to file the case with the district attorney's office.
Correct.
Right. So obviously, in that report, you certainly wouldn't want there to be any accuracies, right?
Correct.
All
It does relates to the crime, yes. Correct.
That's what relates to the crime.
Yes, sir.
Your name is on that report, right, sir?
My name is on the report.
And what you wrote in the last line of the first page of this report, the collective statements, is that the victim observed Ulunga, meaning ASAP Hills, was armed with a knife. Did you write that?
I didn't author this report.
Okay. Is it in that report?
It is in that report.
Okay. So some police officer wrote that.
Yes.
Who, you know?
I believe that was my partner, Detective Conch.
Where'd he go? He used to be there, right?
He was in the back, he might be property.
He's gone. But he was there. The guy was
Yeah,
there.
yeah, he's been here.
He's right. And it was brought to your attention during the preliminary hearing on November 20th, 2023, that this report said Mr. Ephron identified ASAP Hills as the one armed with a knife. We discussed that in the preliminary hearing, sir.
Yes, sir.
And if you thought that that report was inaccurate, you certainly could have asked for that to be changed at any point, correct?
Yes, sir. I mean, but honestly, yes, that was a mistake. But the prior interviews that were recorded of Mr. Ephron from the telephonic interview on the 9th and the in-person interview on December 17th, 2021, he was consistent on both interviews that the person with the knife was, in fact, well, the report prepared for that August filing, there was an error and it did indicate the wrong person. That is correct.
Well, as I just asked you, if you thought that report was inaccurate, you could have asked that be changed, correct?
Yes.
And you never did.
No, I mean, I answered your question. I mean, the record, I think, believe, captured through the interviews is clear what Mr. Ephron said versus what our mistake was.
No, it's not my question. Did you change your report?
No, we did not generate another report to correct it. Correct.
So, and you were here obviously last Tuesday, January 28th, when Mr. Ephron testified on the record that he saw a knife being held after Rocky put the alleged gun away, correct?
Correct.
All right. And with regard to the knife, Mr. Ephron told police in November of 2021 that he saw the knife being held while Rocky was pointing the alleged gun at him, and he was yelling at Rocky, right?
Correct, I believe that's the way it was described in that crime report.
So while Rocky's holding the alleged gun at him and pointing it at him, he's seeing a knife simultaneously.
You've seen it during that event, correct?
Not doing that event, while the gun is being pointed at him, correct?
That's the way it's described in the report, yes, sir.
You also heard Mr. Ephron's testimony last Tuesday, January 28th, that he saw the knife being put away, and he then said, "What the F you got a knife for?" You remember that testimony last week?
Yes, sir.
And in November of 2021, Mr. Ephron told the police that only after he said, "Why you got a knife," did that knife get put away. Recall that?
I don't recall that specifically, sir.
I'll show you.
Okay.
It's 77 in our database. It's a, please follow the investigation report from November 9th, 2020.
Your Honor, I'm gonna object.
Sustain, the objection is sustained.
What was the grounds for?
It's improper, it wasn't his report.
This is not the proper person to either refute or confirm what Relli, Ephron told some other officer. So the objection is sustained. Go on, sir.
Okay, I'll move on. In any event, you saw an arrest warrant on Mr. Mayers on April 13th, 2022.
Correct, that's the date it was signed.
And to be clear, law enforcement received Mr. Ephron's complaint 5 months earlier, November 8th, 2021.
When we received it, it would have been the 9th, it was, the initial report was taken on the 8th, correct?
The 8th or the 9th, whatever, 9th of November 2021, you guys, PD, like the station house guy, November 8th, right?
Correct.
On that same day, law enforcement received November 8th, 2 9mm Ruger casings from Mr. Ephron.
Correct.
The next day, you along with Detectives Camacho and Henry spoke to Mr. Ephron again at Len.
Yes, telephonically.
By the way, that same day, November 9th, Mr. Ephron told you he decided not to become involved in Rocky's music business any longer. You know what I'm saying that?
Jersey Coastal hearsay.
I believe the statement's left, right?
And also on November 9th, 2021, law enforcement received surveillance video pertaining to the incident from 1616 East Belmont
Correct.
and Hollywood Boulevard on November 18th,
Yes.
6200. Yeah, on November 18th. And on November 10th, 2021, law enforcement obtained authorization to search T-Mobile information for Elijah Lungo or ASAP Bill's phone number.
Correct, for search warrant.
Sorry.
Yes.
And specifically, the T-Mobile information law enforcement obtained authorized to search Elijah Lungo, ASAP Bill's, his call detail records and his GPS location.
Correct.
And the GPS location data, I should say.
Yes.
And those records, the GPS location data that you all were able to obtain, show that Elijah Lunga, ASAP Bill's cell phone, was near Selma Avenue in East Del Mar, approximately 10:12 p.m. on November 6th.
I believe that's correct.
And those records also show that Bill's, I'm just going to refer to Bill's so move this along a little bit. ASAP Bill's cell phone was near Mr. Mayer's residence at 11:11 p.m. That's later that night.
Yes, that's called the after, yes.
In addition to law enforcement gaining access, by the way, you also gained access to Mr. Ephron's cell phone, correct?
Subsequent to his arrest, the physical phone, yes.
Yes.
No.
No, Mr. Ephron.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Correct, he did, voluntarily.
Right. That was in November of 2020.
Yes.
Correct. So you had access to his phone.
Yes, we did.
By the way, did he mention that he had deleted any messages before you had that phone?
I don't remember asking him specifically if he had.
Could be volunteer.
I don't recall that it was volunteer.
Particularly with the guy who was making this thing about this guy, his Ephron. He mentioned they had deleted messages between him.
Correct, nothing was volunteered as far as that.
And you wouldn't know to ask that, obviously, right?
He was cooperative and provided his phone. Yeah, it was.
You wouldn't know to ask that, I said.
I wouldn't know. Right.
And the information on that phone contained Mr. Ephron's communications, as far as you knew, with Mr. Mayers, with Bills and 12.
Correct.
And as of November 2021, law enforcement had Mr. Ephron's statement, one, correct?
Correct.
Cell phone records, two, yes.
I believe so, by that.
Video of the incident,
Some of it is correct.
well, which video did you not have by the end of November 2021?
At the end of November, correct, I touched it November 17th, but that's.
No. So, because the last video you got on November 8th, right?
Correct.
So let's again. In the month of November 2021, you had the collective police officers and law enforcement
Correct.
had Mr. Ephron statement. Yes.
Yes, sir?
You had cell phone records in this case.
Yes.
You had video of the incident,
Correct.
and you had 2 shell cases provided by Mr. Ephron.
Correct.
But you still waited another 5 months until April of 2022 to arrest Mr. Mayers.
Yes, I mean, there were other factors involved.
Yes or yes?
Yes.
And during those 5 months, from November 2021 until Mr. Mayer's arrest in April of 2022, law enforcement recovered nothing else, no additional evidence to use against Mr. Mayers, correct?
Correct.
In fact, during those 5 months, law enforcement never contacted 12E, never tried to find 12E or contacted him, correct?
Tell me, they were able to contact him.
Able, did you try?
No, I'm sorry, at that point, no.
Okay. And you understood that 12E was present during the incident, obviously.
Correct. We understood, they were present, they were all appointed.
Now, obviously, you would be an important potential witness in this case.
Could be.
Who's that? Right?
Yes, sir?
And you testified as the case detective, it's your job to look at all relevant information, right?
Correct.
So to be clear, you arrested Mr. Mayers without even trying to speak to 12E.
Sustained.
Let's now move over to the house search that you conducted, okay? So this was on April 21st, you conducted the extensive search of Mr. Mayers' residence, correct?
Yes, April 20, 2022.
And during the search, aside from what we all saw, and we'll get into that when we ask you about those things, you also saw boxes in his residence, right?
I'm sorry?
Boxes, like corporate boxes.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna just show you the pictures of these things. I guess we'll identify them as we go through the exhibit to each one.
Yeah, make sure y'all vote on that poll right there if you think he should have took the plea deal or not.
Exhibit is, W is in Willie.
Is it easier for you to see back there, or is it just being at it?
It's easier to see.
Okay, so you could turn around. This is W4?
Yes, W.
Okay. That's one of the photos you see. Things packed in cardboard boxes there.
Correct.
Did you learn whether or not Mr. Mayers is in the process of removal this morning?
I was not aware that he was in the process.
How about the next one is? That would be defense.
X, as an X-ray.
see those boxes there?
Yes, I do.
By the way, can I go back to the last photo, the W, I think? Those cardboard boxes that you see in this photo, did you search those?
The closed boxes, no.
I'm gonna just look for, I know you said, yes. Those boxes. Did you say? Oh, closed boxes.
Yes, the
Oh, I
sealed
you said
boxes.
closed, okay, closed. Closed boxes, sealed, okay. So you did not search those?
No.
Okay, next, please. No, the other one's okay, this one too. Did you search any of those bags or boxes there?
I don't recall going through them myself. I know the rooms that were gone through.
I'm sorry?
I did not go through that room myself. I don't recall going through that room. But I know each room was searched by part of the team.
So if that room was searched and those boxes were searched, would there be a report on that?
If there was anything, again, found relative to the investigation, items that were highlighted or listed, yes.
Well, you agree that those sealed boxes obviously weren't searched, correct?
Correct.
The next one, please, which will be defense
Why, as in young?
wise and young. Same thing here, wise and young, that's what's known, that box wasn't searched right there, correct?
Correct.
All right. Next,
C's and zebra.
please, zebra. Those suitcases, were they opened and searched, do you know?
I don't recall specifically from my memory.
Next,
AA, Adam.
AA. Same question.
Correct.
Sealed boxes were not opened and searched, correct?
Correct.
Is that it?
One more.
One more.
BB.
There's a lot of stuff for them. I got to come up with a little. Yeesh. A lot of colors and a lot of things there, but any of these sealed boxes that you see in the photo there,
No, sir.
they were not searched. And during the search, law enforcement did not recover a 9mm firearm, correct?
That's correct.
You did recover a 9mm, Glock 9mm magazine,
That's correct.
and it was full, correct?
Yes, it was to capacity, 6 rounds.
Did you ever take the prints off of that magazine?
No.
You never printed that magazine?
No.
You were capable of doing that, correct?
Yes, sir. Since it came from his bedroom, I didn't have it processed.
Okay. And there were 6 Sig Luger 9mm cartridges, right?
In the magazine?
Yeah, in
Yes.
the magazine, right? The 9mm cartridges were not loose or anything,
No.
they're inside that magazine. And that 9mm magazine, those 6 cartridges in the box, they were found in the box containing other magazines and other cartridges that were not 9mm.
That's correct.
We showed the pictures of the 2. So what I'm going to do today, I'm just going to show you real quickly something that you've already seen, but you may have seen it too. Just the pictures of the 2 shell casings recovered by Mr. Ephron and the 6 shell cases recovered inside the magazine.
Okay.
So the ones on the left there, or say C. You see those?
This is the defense exhibit?
It is, right?
Okay, this is going to be CC, Charlie.
Okay, CC, right? So the ones on the left, right there, so yes, those are the Sig Luger 9mm cartridges.
Yes, these are the live rounds that were recovered from the magazine and contained within the magazine.
Okay. And those are different cartridges, obviously, the brand of the one on the right is what's called FC, or Federal.
Yeah, FC Luger.
Right.
On the right are the spent casings,
Right. And SIG is the other one.
and the live rounds are SIG, I'm sorry, SIG
6 hour?
6 hour Luger.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. You also recovered, was it 2, rifle magazines as well?
Correct.
As part of your investigation, you learned that Mr. Mayers was licensed to possess firearms. As part of your investigation, did you learn whether or not Mr. Mayers was licensed to carry firearms?
Objection,
Calls for yes or no.
Nothing I can confirm, but I heard he did.
You did, okay. And, those two,
Anything after nothing I could confirm as being non-responsive.
Sustain, the answer's true.
and
Calls for yes.
the two, the one gun, what was it called? You know the name of that 44 Magnum? Desert Eagle. That was Mr. Mayers, that was registered to Mr. Mayers.
Correct.
Right, registered to Mr. Mayers.
Yes.
Object is again, false or hearsay.
Overruled.
And the rifle was also registered to Mr. Mayers.
Same objection.
Overruled. That's correct.
Okay. Meaning legally registered to him, correct?
Yes, both those weapons are registered.
And the other weapon, gun, whatever you call it, that was recovered was the shotgun.
It's a shot.
And that was registered to an individual named Lou Levin.
I don't remember who specifically was registered to, but it was a legal.
It was a legal weapon.
Correct.
Also, all three were legal weapons.
Yes.
And as a matter of fact, that shotgun was given back to its rightful owner before he left the scene, correct?
I don't recall if it was that Mr. Levin took it. That's just my recollection.
Okay, it's okay. Well, what would refresh your recollection?
I don't know if there's anything. Obviously, Mr. Levin took possession of the house when we left. He took charge of the house, so what he removed after that.
Yo, this lawyer is petty as fuck.
Okay.
He is
So
petty as fuck.
You removed the two guns registered to Mr. Mayers, correct?
No.
You saying you left them in the house?
Yes,
You sure about that?
yes,
So you left those two, the Magnum and the rifle in the house?
yes,
And obviously the shotgun you left there as well?
yes, those are all legal weapons. And
All legal
not part of what our search warrant encompasses.
Okay, okay. By the way, you never asked Mr. Ephron if he had firearms back in November of 2021, did you?
I don't recall asking him. I do recall making inquiries as far as runs or checks. And I don't recall finding any guns registered to him during that period of time.
On the read from preliminary hearing, page 271, lines 2 to 4. And the ones that,
What purpose is this term?
impeachment, you just said, don't full ask.
It would be, it's not impeachment, it's a refresher.
Okay, refresh on that.
Just volume 1 or volume 2?
One, two.
What's the page?
Page 271, your honor, lines 2 through 4.
You just get the floor specified?
Sorry, yes, of course.
What lines?
2 through 4.
Fair game.
I'm gonna,
It's fair game.
Karen, can I?
That-
No.
You were asked by
You
the,
follow it up if you want.
did you ever ask Mr. Ephron if he had firearms back in 2021? Answer, not specifically. Now, you were here the other day when it was revealed that Mr. Ephron was at a firing range in Los Angeles in October, late October 2021, correct?
Correct.
the house had 21 officers, more or less.
More or less.
When you spoke to Mr. Ephron on November 9th, 2021, Mr. Ephron told you that he believed he was grazed on his left hand knuckle area.
Object to fact on that is not talked to more than
I'm sorry? He did not lie?
You have to inquire whether he said that. You're saying when the detective spoke to him, it assumes that that's what Ephron said. So ask him if Ephron said that.
Okay, this is short.
I don't.
Okay. So on November 9th, 2021, did Mr. Ephron tell you that he believed he was grazed on his left knuckle area?
Yes.
And despite supposedly being grazed by a bullet on November 6, 2021, Mr. Ephron did not seek medical attention until returning to New York.
That's my understanding, yes.
And even though Mr. Ephron waited to fly across country to receive medical treatment, obviously there are hospitals in Los Angeles that could have treated him, this injury, whatever it was.
Yes, sir.
Fact is, Mr. Ephron only went to the hospital after Detective Menifee on November 9, 2021, during a phone call, told him that he needs to go get medical attention or medically treated because of the type of case that this is, correct?
objection, calls for speculation.
Okay, Your Honor, there's in evidence that I'll play a portion of. You have the
I would object, it's hearsay.
in evidence.
The jury's already heard, so
It's in evidence.
technically, it is hearsay. Go on to something else. The jury's already heard it. You can play it in final argument.
Okay, did you hear it? Did you hear it?
I remember the comment, I remember that line of questioning, and I think I made a comment prior to that as well.
Okay.
And I think in the context that he was making a comment about his injury, and I think I also suggested he should get it looked at, and I think that's when Detective Menifee also made your statement.
Her statement was that he needs to go get medically treated because of the type of case that this is, correct?
I believe that's the context.
And with regard to his statements, Mr. Ephron first reported this incident to the police, again, just to be clear, 2 days later, November 8, 2021.
Correct.
He didn't call 911.
No.
Didn't go to the police on November 6, 2021.
That's correct.
Waited 2 days before reporting to law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
And when he did finally go to a police station in Los Angeles to report to law enforcement, he did so in person with his attorney, Brian Hurwitz.
Yes.
And you were here last week when Mr. Ephron testified on cross-examination that he did not recall telling law enforcement that he told an attorney, Brian Hurwitz, who told him to retrieve the shell casings from the scene. Were you here, sir?
Object is to relevance.
Were you here when he said that?
I believe I was.
But when Mr. Ephron reported the incident to the police, he did, in fact, make that claim, correct? He told the police that after the alleged shooting, he called attorney Brian Hurwitz, and that Mr. Hurwitz told him to return to the scene of the altercation and retrieve the shell casings. Do you remember that?
Vague
Sure.
as to what he's talking about.
Vague.
Vague, Your Honor.
Read it back, please.
When Mr. Ephron reported the incident to the police, he did in fact make that claim, correct? He told the police that after the alleged shooting, he called attorney Brian Horowitz, and that Mr. Horowitz told him to return to the scene of the altercation and retrieve the shell casings.
What's the legal name?
Vague. He's saying
It is, yeah, it's just-
police.
it is.
He told you that Brian Hurwitz, his attorney, instructed him to return to the scene to retrieve the shell casings, correct?
I'm trying to recall the exact context. I know he made several calls and he was given advice to go back. I don't remember the sequence of phone calls with Mr. Horowitz.
Okay, let me see if I can refresh your recollection. I'm going to show you your report.
Okay.
75, it's the August 5th, 2022.
Is this the first page?
Second page.
22, so weird, but.
Yeah. see this.
I'm gonna object as to who we approach.
Anything can be used to refresh recollection.
Your Honor, you've already ruled, so that's my issue. I don't want to do a speaking section, if you don't mind, we just take the approach.
Yes.
So this is, let me just show you. Know what it is. Okay. Just read this part here. 1, 2, 3 processes. Having read that, does it refresh your recollection that Mr. Ephron mentioned that he was told by his attorney to return to the scene of the altercation and retrieve the evidence?
Yes, that's not what that even says, Your Honor, and you quote right.
You want me to read verbatim? You just said yes first of all, Mark. That's exactly.
The answer yes?
The answer is yes.
Go on to something. The objection's overruled.
Okay. You and Detective Manfrey eventually interviewed Mr. Ephron's attorney, Brian Hurwitz, on March 22nd.
Objection to all this.
Sustained.
In any event, law enforcement secured Mr. Ephron's phone records from the night of the incident, November 6, 2021.
Correct.
And the incident happened at 10:17 p.m. lasted, that's I think we established 25 seconds more or less. Sir,
Yes, roughly from one incident to the second incident to the end.
and as you say, Mr. Efron, an individual returned to the scene at 11:09, correct?
Correct. Based on the video camera.
Based on video camera. And you'd agree, by the way, that Mr. Efron's phone records do not show a single call between him and Brian Hurwitz between 10:17 and 11:09.
Not that I recall, no, sir.
And in fact, Mr. Hurwitz's phone number, which in one of your reports, I'm not going to say it out loud here, appears in Mr. Efron's phone records on November 10th, 2021 at 12:19 p.m. LA time.
I'm not sure about the exact dates.
Object to all this.
So,
I'm not exactly sure about the date and time of that first call with Mr. Hurwitz on that line.
okay. You want to stick with it, then you can show me the report. Not.
I was, you know, we should.
Want to do the report 105, please? This, if I can speak this along. You remember, in search of Mr. Efron's phone records, there not being a call to Mr. Hurwitz until a few days later.
I recall some point after. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right, that's, you know what, that's fine.
At least directly, that show up directly.
Right. But certainly not on November 6th, going into the morning, of November 7th.
Again, nothing directly.
Directly as opposed to indirectly.
A three-way call, somebody, three-way to call, anything like that.
Did you see any indication of three-way call on the phone records?
I don't know that it would necessarily reflect three-way calls, just a direct call to somebody. But again, not that I'm aware of. Until after.
Well, did you see any calls between time of 10:17 and 11:09, for example, in the second phone?
I don't recall seeing any calls between that time.
As detective, you agree, when conducting an investigation of an alleged shooting, you wouldn't want anyone who's not law enforcement moving evidence or taking evidence from the scene, right?
Correct.
Because that could tamper with and hinder the investigation.
It can.
Now, you interviewed Mr. Ephron's girlfriend, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Parker.
Yes.
You never took Ms. Parker's phone?
No.
Okay. So therefore, obviously, you never examined it to see what texts or calls have been made from it.
Not from her phone physically, no.
You said you saw the videos in this case,
Yes.
all of them.
Yes.
You never saw a video with Ms. Parker returning to the scene,
None that were collected. No.
and I want to ask a question, but I'm not going on how the court's ruling, and it's a question that would be prejudicial to them if I asked it and you.
All right, why don't you come on up, off the record, let me know what it is.
Yeah. You saw that, I think we discussed, I don't know if Mr. Rizzola played it for you, but the in-person interview you did with Mr. Ephron in December of 2021, where you showed the video of what was initially him returning to the scene. You saw that here?
Correct.
Okay. And when he was watching the video, he said initially that was him, correct?
Yes, that's what, I mean, he indicated by the form of the question. You're talking about the interview on December 17th?
The interview on December 17th regarding the person returning at 11:09.
Correct.
So that was him, right?
That was, again, what he was indicating in the form of his questioning.
You heard Mr. Ephron's testimony regarding that and the evolution of that belief. He first testified here before the jury that that was him. Mr. Rizzola asked him if he was sure that that was him. You recall that, and then he subsequently changed to that topic.
Objection, argument.
It's not like that's saying
This is staying to the word evolution.
changed, which I thought was a synonym for evolution, changed into it wasn't. You saw that testimony?
Yes.
Okay. And you heard Mr. Ephron say his girlfriend was there, but he then said maybe she was in the parking lot. You remember him saying that?
Correct.
Meaning that may be the reason why she's not on video?
Correct.
Okay. And then Mr. Rizzola asked him about the clothes being different, like he did with you just now. You remember what Mr. Ephron initially said?
Objection, relevance, and hearsay.
He was just asked on the record.
I don't recall his exact response.
Remember him saying, I'm sure that was me, but I probably went and changed my clothes? You remember testifying to that?
I'm sorry, I didn't see.
Okay, it's okay. During your in-person interview with Mr. Ephron on December 2021, you asked him why he continued to follow Mr. Mayers if he knew he had a gun, right?
Yes.
Because according to you, you told him that would seem to be an odd thing to do.
Yes.
Okay. And when you asked him that, why did he continue to follow Mr. Mayers after seeing a gun? Mr. Ephron couldn't give you a clear answer. What he said was, I don't know why.
Objection, argument, and hearsay.
The first part of the question is argumentative. Excuse me, the first part of the question is argumentative, the second part is not. Read the question back.
What was just on that one?
Oh,
Not for argument.
When you asked him that, why did he continue to follow Mr. Mayers after seeing a gun? Mr. Ephron couldn't give you a clear answer. What he
Yeah,
said,
That part.
that part about Ephron couldn't give a.
You get what I just asked.
Ask the question again.
I'm gonna ask it again. When you asked Mr. Ephron, why did he continue to follow Mr. Mayers after seeing a gun, what he said was he didn't know why.
Correct.
With respect to the video recovered in this case, which you've seen the image of Mr. Mayers holding an object, which according to you appears to be a gun, you'd agree, without having that object, you cannot help that it's not a gun, correct?
On the first incident,
Yes, sir.
yes,
On the video where you see Mr. Mayers holding what appears to be a gun.
correct. On the parking structure, the first video camera, yes. I
Right.
mean, without it, anything else appearing on that video, other than him holding what I believe to be a handgun, I cannot determine whether or not that's an operational gun or firearm. Correct.
And with regard to the video incident, after reviewing the footage captured from 16 Vista Del Mar, that law enforcement prepared a document entitled Video Download Information Summary. Remember that?
Yes,
And in that document, law enforcement described what it could observe in the footage. Which one? Here's Terell. Here's. You prepared a document describing what you could observe in the video footage, correct?
correct. Notes that kind of detail what specifically can timestamp at certain points of different angles, angle for angles, and then obviously looking at everything collectively from all the angles together.
And, for example, what you saw appeared to be a struggle on the street at 2217.
Correct.
Specifically, what that video shows is Mr. Ephron apparently struggling with bills, they said bills.
Yes,
And you also detailed approximate distances observed within the video, right?
roughly.
And you listed various times of various events seen on the video.
Correct.
You described that as a subject, you described that a subject was in a dark colored jacket or sweater.
Correct.
In preparing the report, obviously you want to document anything that you observed on the video which was considered important with respect to the case.
Yeah, just give it a rough timestamp of what the events took place and give it a holistic view at the end of which we can look at all the pieces together and tell the story.
But in the report, you didn't want to leave anything important out.
Well, again, these are just notes to mark timestamps. So yes, what I thought was important relative to that frame.
And clearly, as part of the investigation, you could take for is, if a gun or a shooting were observed on the video from 1616 Vista Del Mar, that's something you would have documented in your summary, correct?
Again, sir, it's collectively, I mean, that's part of A, where the incident began, where we observed a gun, B, where the struggle took place, and you can see various individuals running in different directions. And then as we move up, collectively, we see the next video with sound, where we can hear the gunshots. I mean, it's collectively not just one piece.
Okay, so let me just make sure you understood my question.
Okay.
Again.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. We start right now. Clearly, as part of the investigation, if a gun or a shooting were observed on the video from 1616 Vista Del Mar, that's something you would have documented in a summary. Yes?
Yes,
That's it. But that summary that you have, by the way, certainly does not document that a shooting was observed, right?
I mean, not from that angle, it's documented what can actually be observed from that angle, which is, I mean, the view is fuzzy, it gives you an overview of the motion that's going on, but again, pieced together with everything else, it's,
But that document, that summary does not document that a shooting was observed, right?
correct. It does not.
In fact, that summary does not even document that a gun was observed in the video from 1616 Vista Del Mar.
Correct, that first angle, correct.
So you agree there's, in the video, from the video, there's no evidence in the video from 1616 Vista Del Mar that actual gun was being discharged, correct?
Nothing that I could observe in detail that I can see as a gun. Again, it's in frame with everything else, maybe.
Well, here's my question.
Correct.
These are, my question.
All right.
All right? We're almost done. You agree from the 1616 Visa Del Mar video, that video, the one that shows the whole struggle and all the fuzzy stuff, right? You agree that there is no evidence from that video of an actual gun being discharged, correct?
Correct. From that view by itself, no.
The sequence surveillance video that you put together overlaps video from the 1616 Visa Del Mar video with the audio from the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video.
Correct.
All right. And that's the People's Exhibit 15, is that right?
It is
15, okay. And you did that, right? You basically overlapped the video from 1616 Visa Del Mar that had no audio, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the audio from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard.
Correct.
And you put it together. And you agree that the 1616 Visa Del Mar video, you just said this doesn't have any sound, but the video from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard does.
That's correct.
So you overlapped the videos from each location, trying to show when the shot would have occurred during the 1616 Visa Del Mar video.
Correct.
Okay. Of course, if the overlap is off, even by a fraction of a second, the shot would not have occurred during the precise moment shown on the overlap 1616 Visa Del Mar video, correct?
Correct.
And with regard to the 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video, you extracted 3 sets of videos from 3 different cameras maintained by the business at that location.
Correct.
And it's been stipulated, you heard of that, we agreed
Yes.
on something. It's been agreed that the date and timestamp on the 3 cameras from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard are approximately 2 to 3 minutes faster than actual time.
That's correct.
And the reason the cameras are approximately 2 to 3 minutes faster than actual time instead of the exact amount is because each camera's off from an actual time by a different amount.
Yes, sir. I mean, it's not unusual when we collect video.
That's unusual. Okay. I'm saying the reason that you're using a range of 2 to 3 minutes as opposed to 2 minutes and 4 seconds is because each of those cameras is off from actual time by a different amount.
Yes.
For instance, on camera 1, you hear the first shot at 10, 15, 53 seconds. And hold on before we play it. We have to mark this. This is a defense exhibit.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to see this states the stipulation.
Well, that's what. What's there?
He's saying the video from 6200 Hollywood was off by 2 to 3 minutes. He's talking about the business, the parking lot entrance, and
All right,
the
why
El
don't you
Centro.
don't, why don't you two confer? If I don't need to get involved, I don't want to get involved.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the 6200 Hollywood. The one that's off 2 to 3 minutes is this one. Yes. You guys didn't know that it was actually. I'm-
Off the record, based on what we just got here, you want us, yeah.
The day after tomorrow, Thursday, and as close to that time as possible, we will resume statutory and have to return on Thursday. Please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or anybody else.